All right. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. I'm sure there's a number of you that watch the Blue Ridge Silverhound Network on a regular basis. Um, so, happy Father's Day. I wanted to talk a little bit about the market. The market's such a funny thing these days, and I became a little bit more disillusioned the moment I found out that maybe we were paying just way too much money for some of the things during the pandemic. All right, you guys want to have a general idea of how much things have gone up, even though the price of silver, all right, as a stock market kind of traded asset class or commodity, has really not gone up. Now, when we're talking about the overall market as a whole, it's combining precious metals. It's combining the numismatic market. I guess there's a PCGS stock market kind of trend. I guess that takes a look at the entire market, and then it moves much in the same way that the stock market does. The NYSE, S&P 500, and Nasdaq, and all that move on a daily basis. But it became even more apparent when I was just drudging through some crap, some old magazines, some old coin magazines. I did a lot of coin magazines during the 2000s, all the way up to, I would say, 2015. When a lot of this stuff became more accessible digitally, I began to buy less of the paper format items, even though I think holding on to a magazine is still way more better, because you have it's tangible in your hands, much like the same way that people prefer to own actual physical silver and gold in their hand, is that it's more tangible of an asset, and that's why there's always been this market premium for those type of items. But found a interesting magazine right here. All right, it doesn't seem that old because it's from May 2010. You see there. So Coin Prices magazine was a very short-lived magazine. All right, I don't know if they're still around. If it was, maybe a place like Barnes and Noble would sell a magazine like this, but it is straight up just a magazine of nothing but price guide values. And it was, I guess, a monthly publication back in the heyday. Yeah, right. 12 years ago is back in the heyday. I wasn't even married in 2010, not yet, although I was with my wife. But interesting going through this and just seeing the incredible differences of what people, most specifically, because you could treat any, like, we're going to focus on this ad here by Coast Coin, which I think is still, they're still one of the top e-commerce sites for not only like silver and gold and bullion, but also for collectible coins. They're very more well known for their collectible coins and currency than they are the precious metal side, whereas coins like APMEX and Pinehurst coins and Modern Coin Mart are all traditionally known for their PMs. So this magazine right here, not taking really any stock or the price guide values, because I think a printed media of price guide values, regardless of the collectibles, really doesn't mean a whole lot. Things are purchased and sold on eBay daily, so the number moves quite significantly, and it's very volatile. One day it could be $20, the next day it could be 25, the next day it could be back down to 18, so on and so forth. But we were living in, I guess, more innocent days, if you could call it that. Circa 2010 was a time period where the country was trying to recover from a housing crisis and a recession. We were in the middle of a recession in 2010. How do I know this? Because of the historical data that you can find online. All right. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the price of silver. Today, it's hovering right around $21.60. That's spot silver price. In 2010, this magazine is 2010 May. in May of 2010, the price of silver was really not too much more, $24.69. However, this particular trend was steadily going up ever since 2008, specifically at its rock bottom in 2008 in October at $13.14. I'm actually using a website called Macro Trends to look at the last 20 years of data. And it went up from here. Like, it shot up quite a bit in such a short period of time. By the time May of 2010 rolled around, we were already at $24.69. But if you thought that was crazy, from July of 2010, as we were kind of like moving on beyond the summertime, guess what? The price of silver had jumped up $5 an ounce from July to September of that year. And then by the end of the year in 2010, we were at $41.27. Holy shit. Wow. That's a pretty big jump there. And then at its peak, I don't know if you guys remember this, but at its peak, silver made it all the way up to over $63 an ounce. April of 2011. Owning silver and selling it and smelting it was, in a sense of the word, at its pitch. It was a fever pitch to a lot of people. A lot of the old 100-year-old silver that we all knew and loved and grew up kind of collecting, the old Morgan dollars, the old Standing Liberty quarters, Walking Liberty half dollars, coins like this that up until about 1960, you could still roll into the bank and pick up a bag of this stuff, which is a pretty recent time period considering what we have here. So just 50 years removed. A lot of this stuff became melted, ended up getting sourced overseas, like China and all those other companies, or countries rather, sorry. And, a lot of that helped fuel the marketplace. People were seeing silver and gold. Gold got up to such a huge amount of money as well. But these were all safe haven commodities. People were dumping money into areas where, they're performing really well, all right, as opposed to putting the money back into real estate or in the stock market because things were kind of figuring itself out. All right, the housing market was in a crash mode. A lot of the crappy 3 and 5 year adjustable rate mortgages and the interest only loans and all that bull crap became figured out right away. And as a result, a lot of those particular methods of financing a house no longer really exist, okay? Because, obviously the banks don't want to be in a position where they're going to have to charge off all this debt and then go bankrupt at the end of the day. But, yeah, we were, in 2010, we were in the middle of a rising precious metals market. All right, now it's not completely at 100% noted in this magazine. The prices will shock you just on this back cover page. Most specifically, check this out. This is a U.S. Mint 2009 S 18-piece U.S. Proof set being sold clad, which is this top line right here. So it's a clad, copper nickel clad set for $32.95. But take a look at this one. 2009S silver proof set, you could have paid $55.95 buying it through this company, Coast Coin, which, by the way, are still around. Now, let's think a little bit about that. When we buy stuff off of here or off of Home Shopping Network or Coin Vault TV, you're going to be paying the most amount of money for these collectibles. There's going to be no other place that you're going to go to where you're going to pay the most amount of money. Okay, the big reason why there's a lot of overhead that you need to, that they add into the cost of the items and then they pass it off to the customer, right? Which makes sense. There's advertising rates, there's internet, there's, keeping the lights on and, the lease to the building that they all operate in, stuff like that. I don't need to go through the whole rigmarole. But $55 for a complete Proof set from 2009 was actually very high priced. I believe this Proof set you could have picked up from the US Mint website because it was still live at that point. So as you can see, it's 2009, not 2010. I believe the 2010s didn't come out till summertime, and we're talking May here, so they were about a month out. But on the US Mint website, they were still selling the Proof sets from the year before, both clad and silver, and they were kind of like mint on demand. All right, it wasn't a finite quantity of these that were already produced, and then it's like one and done. All right, it wasn't like that. It means that you could go on there, order 100 sets, they would produce it on demand or based off of the ordering demand, and then they would send it to you. Okay, and then that number gets tallied onto the final mintage, and then normally after 2 years, they go ahead and pull it out of stock, and then, they focus on the newer stuff. So this price was absolutely expensive, probably by about $10 to $15 above what you can buy it on the US Mint website for. Now, back in the day, the price of the silver Proof sets were predicated on the actual market value. If we were going to compare this to today's silver Proof set, which I believe has less coins in it, all right, because you have 6 plus 5, you have 11 coins. These sets are $105 on the US Mint today for less coinage. And, we forgot that just 10, 12 years ago, these things were available at the retail level at some retailer for over what the US Mint was charging for at that given time. I think these were like $42 or something like that back in 2010. All right, at $24 an ounce at silver. I'm looking at the chart right here still, which is more than what the price of silver is today. So obviously, this is kind of like a waking kind of moment of where the silver market doesn't have direct influence over the market of these items. Now, all of a sudden, capitalism starts to come into play. Well, if we're selling these products, why are we giving them away for a few percentage points over silver melt value when all this time, we could sell for a lot more money, not only to adjust for things like inflation, like, the cost of labor is higher today than it was 12 years ago. The cost of getting, all of the all the chemicals and things that you need to produce the government packaging, the lens, the paper encasement, and all that stuff. Sure, they've all gone up in price, but in 12 years, man, about double what it is now. We're pretty close to double if we're comparing the Coast Coin ad and not the US Mint offering of probably 40 some odd dollars for that same Proof set compared to what it is today. It could be over 2 times that. What I'm trying to get at in this video is that probably all this time, I would say since about 2020, yeah, I'm a little disillusioned. I'm a little bit, I think I feel like, like a lot of you, we got this wool pulled over everyone's eyes. Like, hey, you know what? They have this, and it's like really awesome. All right. I pitched the hell out of the Morgan and Peace Dollar series of coins last year, thinking that it was hot shit. As it turns out, just everything going on here, the method in which they did the pre-order, like that's something that they don't normally do, and they botched that up. The timing in which they all dropped, and then between that kind of like 3 to 4 month period from the pre-sale event to when they actually released, you had all these jokers selling the coins at such ridiculous above market prices. But guess what? We live during a time where there's free government money coming in. There's people that are extending out credit lines and doing all sorts of other things that they need to do to get their piece of the pie of the collectibles market, because it all started with sports cards and all that crap. I mean, it's a pretty weird day when you could go to your local Target and Walmart, buy a box of sports cards at $20 and then flip it for $100. All right. So that capitalism, that inflation, that kind of like market precedence shot out of a cannon right away. And it began to snowball onto everything else. And then here we are in a new time period where the pandemic is kind of rolling on its back end and we're trying to move on beyond that. People are still making their same wages as they were 2 years ago. We really didn't see too much cost of living increases, in the last 12 to 24 months, which is unfortunate. There's a lot of people that deserve much higher pay in relation to, what the cost of goods are. Yeah, I mean, there's been some wage increases, but they don't mean a lot, right? It's not enough. It's not double the pay because the corporations can't afford to pay, every Walmart employee $30 an hour. And it doesn't matter what state you're in. They can't afford to pay that living wage. Even though the price of a loaf of bread is $6.99 today, and everything else. It's stupid. The price of gas is $6 a gallon, and God forbid for the people that live and work and drive tractor trailers for a living, they're paying $7.50 a gallon for diesel, for crying out loud, which is crap gas. That stuff's like bottom of the barrel, So where we at with current U.S. Mint product? I'm going to tell you this. I would recommend not buying any of it for any reason. Because the stuff is so overly inflated and ridiculously expensive. And there's no satisfaction with what you're getting. It's like, oh, great. I just spent $105 for a Proof set. But now I'm more sad about it because I listened to BlueRidgeSilverhound's stupid channel where he's comparing an ad from 12 years ago to what it is right now. I feel even more dumb because I'm getting less coins and I'm paying nearly double for a Proof set. And not to mention the fact that you still have to pay for shipping, and then you got to wait for the things. And it's like, what's fair anymore today? And I think we're all feeling kind of like a little bit of the wallet fatigue, but we're also coming across the flipper's fallacy fatigue as well, where everybody is under the belief that in the collectibles market, there's still the belief that you could still pick something up for price A and make 100% profit on it. When I think that ship has clearly sailed 6 to 12 months ago when people got figured out, well, the market is super inflated and it's way higher than what it's worth, number one. Number two, the free easy tendies that that people were getting from, the government stimuluses and stuff was over. And they're not going to do that anymore. People are encouraged to go back to the workplace. They can't work from home anymore. There's big companies and stuff that are imposing, that people go back to their offices or they're fired. It's a very waking moment for a lot of people. And then when things as simple as this, that normally to a lot of people doesn't really figure into the daily lives. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy a silver Proof set because this is what I'm gonna feed my kids and my wife and all that at the end of the day. No. All right. Or I'm gonna buy the silver Proof set so I can put it in the gas tank. No. Like, check out the Silver Eagle per each, $22.40. Right now, I'm just going on eBay, but you could go on any website, AppMex or whoever. One Silver Eagle of 2020 date, $36 on average. Again, guys, the price of silver is lower, $4 lower today than it was back in 2010. It blows my mind. And it wasn't as clearly defined or noticeable than it is just pulling out a magazine from 12 years ago. Looking at an advertisement from a company who wasn't necessarily the cheapest. Now they're not on the level of a Home Shopping Network or Littleton Coins where, in their ad back in the day, their Silver Eagles probably would have been like $28 a piece. But that's still vastly cheaper than what we're encountering today if you wanted to go buy one. man, that's a tough proposition. What do I do? You know, for me, I'm still incredibly bullish on the earlier obsolete coin and currency market stuff that, like pre 1940s, higher grades, key dates, varieties, things that still have more of a uniqueness and they're justified price wise and value wise for what they are compared to the newer stuff where there's so much of it. Worldwide mints all over the place, from the Perth Mint to um, Canadian Mint and all these other outfits that are producing these low mintage commemorative coins, no higher than like 50 to 100 pieces, are cranking out 100 different commemoratives throughout the year. They all have that low mintage. It's like becoming less special. The serial numbered certificate that comes with these things is overdone and not special anymore. And modern collectibles as a whole have a lot of price adjustments that need to happen. All right, so that way we could get back to where we were 2 years ago, where it was more normal. All right, people worked and lived, and they didn't get the free money rolling in, which allowed people to live within their means. But when you put and inject billions of dollars of this free money into the marketplace, where it's really giving companies a green light to bump up the prices of everything. Look at your automobile industry right now. It's ridiculous. But yeah, pretty cool to kind of go back into the archives of paper magazines and actually have a conversation about what's happening, and it's kind of an eye opener, I'm sure, for a lot of you folks that are aware that the prices aren't increasing because of the collectibles aspect of it. That ship has sailed a long time ago, last year sometime. But it's more of the greed that's centered around, some of the opportunity that they firmly believe is still there, but really isn't. People are more likely to go to the source to buy what they need, but even the source is like way higher. It's like the sports card people are blaming the manufacturers for the price increases when the price increases are clearly imposed through the distributor. The distributor is like the main kind of like bad guy in all this. They're the heel of the whole thing. And then when they get to the retailers, they have to mark it up as well. So it's a double doozy. If you're not getting your stuff direct from the company, you're going to pay the most amount of money for said items. So that's what I wanted to talk about. A little Sunday featurette on the just overall market and the health and all that stuff. It's not healthy. It's capped out, and it's a balloon that is on the verge of popping if you blow any more air into it. Again, moderns is not where it's at right now. I think it's a slippery slope that everyone needs to kind of be aware that this is not where you want to park money right now. We gotta let the market retrace, because it hasn't done so in the last 2 years. And again, it's a very unhealthy, very unstable set of circumstances that's happening with the overall market of numismatics and PMs right now that just can't be ignored. All right. Again, this is financial advice. I'm giving you guys my 2 cents. Of course, things like this magazine support a lot of what's going on out there, and it's just it should be an eye opener. So if you guys want the Proof set that comes out next week, by all means, go for it. I'm still thinking about getting one for myself too. That's it. But I'm not going to do it to flip. That's not going to happen. Well, that's going to go ahead and do it for this one. You guys enjoy your day. For all you fathers out there, have a good one. Love you guys. And I'll see you guys on the next coin video. Don't forget to LSS. And I'm on the old Tickety Talk. So there you go. All right, see ya.